بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. So tonight's maxim is الضرورات تقدر بقدرها. Emergencies are measured or assisted accordingly. What does that mean? It means that in religion we have obligations, right? Wajibat. But sometimes you are unable to perform these obligations because of states of emergencies. And therefore, God does not burden you over what you can bear. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. And in Surah Al-Baqarah, إلا ما اضطررتم إليه. These things are forbidden to eat unless you have an emergency. You have been forced to do so. So in that case, it becomes okay for you. So now let's give example of this maxim. The maxim says that whenever there is an emergency, what is the scope of the permission? How the scope of the permission is determined? And who determines the scope of the permission? I'll give you an example. You are stuck in a room, locked in a room, and you get very thirsty. The door is not opened for you. You are very thirsty, extremely thirsty. You cannot bear the thirst anymore. And there is a drink there which is not halal. Can you have a sip from that drink to survive, to save your life or not? If that drink is not halal, can you? This is a question I'm asking you. Yes?
If you can...
You cannot survive without a drink. Let's say you reach the point.
Okay.
If you don't drink now, you're going to perish. So can you drink that drink which is either najis or not halal?
Yes.
Water, but it is najis. Or it's not water, it's alcohol.
It's a matter of life or death.
Okay. So, here, who says this is an emergency? Who determines? Yourself. You know yourself. You know yourself, you know your limits. Sometimes you are thirsty, but you know you're going to survive, even for 10 more hours. But sometimes you know yourself. You cannot survive. Something will happen to you. It could be a damage to your brain, to your body. So you may assist that. Now, this is one question. The second question, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The second question here, how much of that drink you take? You take the whole bottle, half of it, 1/3 of it, 10% of it? How much? What is the amount that you are allowed to drink of that haram drink in case of emergency? How much? What is the amount?
Enough for you to survive.
Exactly. You drink according to the need, not more than that. You do not say now, Dr. Ali, look at this example. There are 10 bottles of wine, let's say, God forbids, and you are very thirsty and you need to survive. Now that God says it's okay, so all the 10 bottles I'm going to drink.
That becomes taste testing.
No, it shouldn't be like that. So this is number one example. Number two, we are speaking about cases of emergencies. And the emergencies, how do we know how much permission we have to commit that emergency? So the example number one, when we are stuck in a place and there is no drink other than wine, let's say, alcoholic drink. Example number two.
So it doesn't depend on the brand. Doesn't depend on the brand.
Yeah. Number two, you cannot prostrate in the prayers. You have, let's say, some sort of back pain, whatever, or the doctor says you had surgery, so refrain from sujood, prostration for 3 months, 6 months. Now that you refrain from sujood, do you also refrain from ruku' and qiyam? You sit on the chair and you do the entire salat while you are sitting on the chair?
I think you should do what you can. For instance, if you could stand up and do...
Exactly. Exactly. You measure the emergency, not more than that. So if it is not good for you to go to sujood, prostration, but you can do after doing the ruku', then you must do the ruku'. You must do the qiyam. You must do the qiyam. Because with qiyam there is no, you can do it. With ruku' you can do it. Only the sujood that you cannot do. Then in that case, do the qiyam and ruku'. Or the sujood. He said, listen to the example. He said, do not put your forehead completely on the ground. You may go for sujood, but halfway through. So you must do the halfway through. This is the meaning. These are the examples of this maxim. Okay. Another example. In the month of Ramadan, this person needs to take the pill. And there is no way that he can wait until after sunset, nor it would help if you just take it before Fajr. So he has to take that pill during the day when he's fasting. In this case, if it is a must, and this is for healing and recovery and ilaj and remedy, then he should take that pill. But should he also eat chilo kebab with that pill? Full lunch? They say no. This is the month of Ramadan.
But
You break your fast only, if let's say food is needed.
Right.
He would eat accordingly. According to the emergency, not more than that.
And it doesn't break his fast.
It breaks his fast, but there is no penalty on him. So he can recover, he can make up that after the month of Ramadan. But he should refrain from eating and drinking. Are you with me?
Yes, if someone cannot do it, meaning that he's sick.
Okay, if he cannot do it, he's sick and he needs to eat and drink to sustain himself, then he will eat and drink.
And just take one pill. Can he take just one pill during the day?
If he only needs a pill, he's okay without food and drink, then he takes only the pill.
And the fasting is okay.
No.
Breaks
Still,
the fast.
once something goes down, breaks the fast. Another example. A patient goes to the doctor's office. And the doctor wants to examine his private part. So in case of emergency, is it allowed for the doctor to look at the patient's private part in case of emergency? The doctor needs to see. needs to examine. Sometimes he says, no, I don't need to see. I know what you are talking about. Let's say he knows, so he doesn't have to physically examine you. But sometimes he says, I have to see what's going on. Now, in that case, should he look at the entire thing, where the entire thing is not needed, only one part of it, only small part of it, to examine small part. There is no need to see the whole organ, whether it's male or female. He wants to examine the female's, let's say, vagina. Can he also look at other parts, let's say the anal? Huh? Anus, can he look at that one too? No. They say because it's an emergency, so you only limit yourself to that specific part. No more than that. He's not allowed to look at the rest of the body. Even the rest of the body. Only that part which he really needs to examine. And he has no way of prescribing the medicine or diagnosing the disease unless he sees. Sometimes if he can touch only by touching without seeing, then only it should be touching. Sometimes only by seeing without touching, he only sees. So whatever emergency entails, no more than that. Are you with me? So if sometimes you are forced to break the law, you should break that law according to what you really need, not more than that.
See, looking at someone's private part, let's say you're a physician or whatever a job is, you need to look. So is that haram? I mean, like, not haram, but is it, what's the...
No, we discussed this a few weeks ago. If that is needed, that is part of the process of examination, and the examination would not be complete.
Right.
The diagnosis would not be sufficient, would not be efficient, if he does not see or examine, then it becomes halal. This is part of emergency. This is emergency.
Right.
An emergency. So the doctor is allowed to see. And this is why some scholars, we mentioned this, he says if he can look through a mirror, then let him look through a mirror, not directly.
Oh, you mentioned that part, right.
If he can do, if mirror will be sufficient, then he should not look live directly. Or if he could look at a camera, let's say they take a shot or a picture of a patient, his private parts, he takes a picture and he shows the picture, then he should look, the doctor, at the picture, not live watching. And this is the meaning of this. There is emergency, but who decides the scope of that solution or remedy or whatever? It has to be decided. Doesn't mean emergency you are free to do anything. You are limited. You are limited to what you really need.
Ethically too.
Not more than that. Another example. Another example. You are wearing a cast. Someone broke his arm. He's wearing a cast. And that cast is called jabira. So at the time of wudu, what he does or she does is that he does mashul jabira. Because he cannot remove the cast, okay, because of injury or whatever. So he wipes over the cast. This is mashul jabira, which is sufficient for wudu. Now, this cast is needed, let's say, for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, he will be healed, let's say. Now, can he wear it more than 2 weeks and keeps doing mashul jabira over that cast? Huh? I'm asking this question. The doctor said within 2 weeks you're going to heal. Then you have to remove it. But he didn't remove it. He was lazy. He didn't remove it. He enjoyed wearing it. You know, some kids, they have people sign on. So he was enjoying like tattoos. So is he allowed to continue to do Mashul Jabira more than 2 weeks? He's not allowed. After that, if it is not needed and he still does Mashul Jabira, his wudu is not accepted, is batil.
But if it's, he must remove it, but for some reason prevented him from...
What reason? What reason? Tell me.
He couldn't go to the doctor, let's say.
If he couldn't go, the doctor's office was closed, nobody was there to, you know, these are still emergencies. They fall under the same name, emergencies. But if the doctor is there, but he doesn't want to go, he's enjoying this, or he's enjoying Mashul Jabira, he's too lazy, you know, he wants to...
People make food and make them...
Exactly. So in that case, he's not allowed, and if he does more than what it needs, Mashul Jabira, more than what it requires, then his wudu is not accepted, and therefore the salat, so he has to repeat. After he removes that, he has to repeat the salat. Okay. Now, what are the madrak or the evidence of this maxim? الضرورات تقدر بقدرها. Emergencies are assessed accordingly, according to its needs, to its need. Okay? What is the madrak? The madrak is the hadith. Is صحيحة زرارة عن أبي جعفر. صحيحة زرارة بن أعين. It is صحيحة زرارة عن أبي. Who's أبي جعفر? الباقر عليه السلام. This صحيحة speaks about taqiyya. What is taqiyya? Taqiyya, when you are forced to protect yourself and you disclose your faith or your practice because there is danger. If they find out, they're going to fire you. They're going to hurt you. They're going to imprison you. They're going to persecute you. So you have to practice taqiyya to protect yourself. This is in the heart of the Quran. إِلَّا أَن تَتَّقُوا مِنْهُمْ تُقَاتٍ. God says in the Quran, you may not disbelieve in God publicly unless you fear the enemies and you are practicing that as taqiyya, then you may say, no, I'm not Muslim. I don't accept God, for instance. إِلَّا أَن تَتَّقُوا مِنْهُمْ تُقَاتٍ وَيُحَذِّرُكُمُ اللَّهُ نَفْسَهُ. So in case of emergency, your life is threatened, your family, your house, your property, your business, your car, your job. So you may practice that. You don't have to disclose. Okay? التقية في كل ضرورة. The Imam says, التقية, how do we... في كل ضرورة. In every emergency, ضرورة. ضرورة. In every emergency. You practice it in every emergency. Okay? Can you give me an example of that? Nowadays, here in America, how do we practice taqiyya? You can practice it, yes, in America. You can practice it if you know that this institution, this corporation, if they find out you are Muslim, they're going to kick you out. You're going to lose your job, lose your income, lose your source of living. Then you may not say, I'm a Muslim. You may not pray before them. You may conceal your faith. Or you go to a mosque who is intolerant, and there are many of them in this country. Mosques that are intolerant to the followers of Ahlul Bayt. And then if you want to pray on turba, or if they find out you are not part of them, they will hurt you. So still you have to practice taqiyya. Don't use the turba. Pray your prayers without turba. Or sometimes, not just without turba, in Medina today, Medina al-Munawwara, in Masjid Nabi, if you don't hold your hand, do takattuf, they will hurt you. It happened in many occasions. So you may hold your hand and pray. This is taqiyya. So the Imam, look at the continuation of the hadith. At-taqiyyatu fi kulli darura. Whenever there is an emergency. But if there is no emergency, would you practice taqiyya? You don't practice taqiyya. I stand in the middle of the airports in America, at the gate, and I do my prayers as I do them in this mihrab here. But sometimes in some Muslim countries, in some mosques, I cannot do my salat the way I do it here in our mosque. Because at the airport, nobody even cares what you are doing.
Say another example, let's say with emergencies, let's say, okay, you can pray, but you can get away with praying like on the chair. It's instead of going to qada, so can you do that in this case? So
you mean in the airplane?
In an institution, let's say, that will, let's say, hurt you if they see you praying. Can you pray, let's say, to go in a corner and pray, and they won't know, that they will not know that you're actually praying. Can you pray sitting down on a seat?
Yeah.
So you should do that.
Yes. If you want to stand, you get their attention. But if you are sitting on the seat, keeping a low profile, they don't notice that, then do it on the seat.
Do that.
Yes. Yeah. And then the Imam says this is at-taqiyya fi kulli darura. And then he says, okay, so who tells me that here I have to practice taqiyya or not? Who tells me? Guess who tells me?
You do. Yeah.
You do. Yeah. The Imam says, وَصَاحِبُهَا, the person himself, أَعْلَمُ بِهَا حِينَ تَنْزِلُ بِهِ. He knows what to do. He knows whether this is a place to practice taqiyya or not to practice taqiyya. You know that. You can assist. Hamidagha. See? Hamidagha. You can assist the situation. تقدر. You assist the situation. You don't have to go and ask your marja or a scholar or this or that and consult. No, you know this is a place that if they watch me doing this, they're going to hurt me.
Right.
Or sometimes, no, I know they are not going to hurt me. Or if they hurt me, I don't care. I don't care what they say. It's up to you. The assessment is up to you. You assess that. Regarding Ramadan, if someone asked me that I get invited to a place, they don't know I am Shia. And most of them are anti-Shia. But they don't know that I'm Shia. And they invite me in Ramadan to their home. So I have to go. I have no choice. Even if I can skip 1 or 2 days, the rest of the days I have to show up. I can't keep telling them I am sick today, I am tired, my wife is with me. So I have to show up some days. And they eat 15 minutes before the iftar. Before our iftar's time. So am I allowed? And they're going to hurt me. If they find out, then they know. And definitely they're going to hurt me. So if they're going to hurt you, then you may eat. Because of taqiyya, to protect yourself, then you are the one who assists the situation. Sometimes you don't know, they are not going to hurt me. Maybe they are not going to like me. And by the way, taqiyya has various levels and degree. Sometimes taqiyya is defense, a defense strategy. You are defending yourself. It's like carrying a gun If you don't carry a gun, you're going to be killed. So you have to carry that gun to protect yourself, the shield. So that is the maximum taqiyya. So you must practice it here. So you don't get hurt. You don't lose your house. They burn your house. They burn your car. They hurt your children. They hurt your family. Sometimes they don't burn your house. But in the future, something might happen to you. They are compiling a file against you. Gathering all these cases, for one day, they're going to do something to you. So this is a lower degree. Sometimes, no, they are not going to compile anything in the file. But they're going to look down at you. And you are living in that society. You are living in that community. You are working in that corporation. You don't want to lose your job, your livelihood. This is called al-mudaratiyya. At-taqiyyatul mudaratiyya. Mudarat, it's not defense. No. They are not going to hurt you. But you want to preserve your status. To preserve your status. Because the status is important. Not to preserve your house or your income, your status. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is at-taqiyya, so you do mudarat to them. So you have to practice it. You have to practice the taqiyya.
Say, are you allowed, or is it permissible to recommend someone do that? Meaning, let's say the example you gave to the masjid, going into this, like you go in and then you notice someone's over there with a turba. Are you allowed or permitted to come to them and say, hey, I don't recommend you putting that turba out in this masjid. I know that this could be a problem.
If you know that mosque yourself, you have experience with them, and this guy, he has no experience, he's a first comer, he's coming for the first time, he knows nothing, and you know it's going to hurt him, then you may tell him, of course.
So, what's mudarat like? What's a word in English for it? Mudarat, what's important?
Diplomatic, being diplomatic. Yeah. Being diplomatic, so they don't get mad at you. They don't get mad at you. Maybe they don't hurt you. They don't hurt you. But they get mad at you, and it is going to cause a problem in the long term. Or, Dr. Ali, not necessarily they get mad at you, but there are 100 people praying. If you put the turba, it looks very odd. They become suspicious. They don't understand this. They don't have the capacity to understand it. You don't have time to explain to them. Sometimes you have the time. You are inviting them to ask you because you have time. MashaAllah, some people have guts and time and plenty of time to argue. It's okay. But sometimes you need to just do your prayers and go back. You don't want people to come and gather around you. So this is also part of, don't put it there. So you don't create a controversy.
Or discomfort or something.
Yeah, this is the meaning of mudarati. So this, we mentioned before you came, the example, a very clear example of this maxim is when you are stuck in a place where there is no food or drink. No food. How much you eat? The only food which is there is haram food. And you really cannot walk anymore. You cannot function. You are stuck in a village, in a place, in a prison, God forbid, somewhere, no food. So here you may eat, but according to, don't eat full, huh? Eat to survive. Same thing with the drink. You are stuck in a room, the only drink available is haram drink. Either najis, water, which is najis, or alcoholic, let's say. And you are not going to leave this room until tomorrow, for instance. And you are thirsty. You're going to be dehydrated, even worse than dehydration. It might affect your health. So here you may drink according to what you need for survival, not more than that. Not more than that. In another case, another example of this maxim. Can you give me other examples that we may use them in our life? You are in a situation where you don't have a credit card, you don't have cash. The only money you have with you is the money that belongs to someone else. Not your money, someone else's money. And you need to get back home. You need some money to buy some food, to buy some drink, to get a taxi going back home. There is no ATM machine. They don't accept credit card. You don't have cash. So you are allowed to take from other people's money, but according to, if you need $10, you take $10, not $50, not $100. According to your need. Only, and of course you give back to them. But for instance, you take it without their permission. In case of emergency. Only in case of emergency. What else? What examples you have? We gave example of doctor's examination. If the doctor wants to see some part of the patient's private part, is he allowed to see the whole body? Let's say the physician is a male and the patient is a female. And he needs to examine some part, small part of her private part, let's say. Is he allowed now that he sees the private part so I can see the rest of the body too? It should be covered, the rest of the body. They open just a... Or if picture is sufficient, there is no need to see the actual thing. So he should look at the picture, not the actual physical part.
Let's say with the takia, or I mean, if you want to take money, if you want to take money to survive, you take $10 from somebody, you buy food, but you can't pay it back. You can't pay them back, or you never get a chance to pay back. For some reason, you never make $10 to pay them back. So what happens with that $10? Is it forgiven because of this, maxim, or are you punished for not paying them back later?
No, if you can pay him back later on, then you must pay back. There is no punishment for it.
But if you
Say
can't
you
pay
go somewhere, you have to give that money.
Oh, so later on you cannot give it back to him?
Yeah.
You can't reach out to him. Let's say you don't know him.
Or you don't make money.
Or you don't make money then.
But he died, the person.
No, if he dies and he has inheritors, you give it to his inheritors. But if that person is lost, and then you are able to pay, you yourself, then you pay on his behalf to the poor people.
Okay.
This is called Radd al-Madhalim. Radd al-Mal. So I pay in case he has kafara on his behalf, sadaqah, I pay it on his behalf. But the case that you gave, the example that you gave, that I don't have money. You don't have money, then that's it. That's it.
If it was forgiven, you're not.
Yeah, forgiven, yeah. No, you needed the money.
Right.
You needed it.
Right.
Someone asked me this question. He works in a place, he has to work there, he couldn't find a job. Okay, for the sake of the argument, we accept his allegations. And that place is a nightclub. And sometimes the owner comes and he has to dance in front of the owner. But if the owner is not there, or the director, whoever he is in charge, then he can, he can sit and relax. But the owner wants him to dance always. So in this case, should he dance from 9 to 5, or only when the owner is present, according to this maxim?
this maxim doesn't really apply.
Why? Emergency?
Yeah, but if his job is dancing, then he has to dance from 8 to 5. If his job is dancing,
Yeah.
he's paid to dance 8 to 5, he has to dance 8 to 5.
Yeah.
No, let's say his job is not dancing. Part of it is
It's
dancing.
just serving.
Part of it is to create enthusiasm, entertainment, but not full-time job. No, but they expect him to participate. Okay, so he says when the owner is there, I have to do that because he sees me. He says, "You are lazy. You are not doing your work. Go home." But if the owner is not around, should he also, لوجه الله, he continues,
I mean, when the owner is not there, oh,
not around.
then he can't, then he shouldn't.
He shouldn't, according to this. Yeah, according to this, because that is, according to him, of course, he says, this is the only thing I can do. Otherwise, I really cannot survive. He says so. So in that case, yes, when the owner is there, but not more than that. Yeah, there is a joke, I'll tell you about it after we shut this. Okay.
Where does this guy work? We go visit.
Yeah. Now, another one, and we or two mas'ala, and then we conclude.
Is this same maxim saying?
Same maxim. Now, we know that the substitute for wudu is what?
Tayammum.
Is tayammum. When you are sick, when it is too cold, freezing, really minus 40, minus 60 outside. Freezing, and the water is outside. I die if I go outside. So in this case, do tayammum. But then, if the temperature, becomes milder, and it is doable to go out, and you can take it, you can do that. You still do the tayammum in this case?
Or then you have to switch to the wudu.
And if you keep doing tayammum and do your prayers, where you were able to do the wudu, what do you do in that case?
To repeat the
You do
prayers.
qada.
You do
Qada, maybe.
qada. Exactly. You do the qada. The last question. If you need to drink water during Ramadan, you need to drink water. You have a problem. You have a sickness that requires that you drink water. But not that much. Not that much. Let's say 3 bottles during the day. This size bottle during the day. To go through. Of course, your siyam would not be accepted. And that person who has this disease always is called dhul utash. He requires to drink. So he would not do qada after Ramadan. But can he drink more than that amount? Let's say 5 bottles, 6 bottles, if he requires a 3?
But his fast is not accepted.
No. He's not accepted. He's not required to fast because this is a perpetual disease he has. So even after Ramadan, he would not fast. It's like someone who's diabetic, let's say. But in Ramadan, he's not allowed to fast. But he requires, let's say the doctors or he knows himself, he needs 3 bottles. Can he drink more?
It's probably
He
mustahab.
can.
Probably
He
mustahab
can
not
because
to.
he's not really fasting.
He's not fasting because of this sickness.
Yeah.
Only the
Like
minimum,
mustahab
only the
not
minimum
to.
needed.
Yeah,
Some scholars, they say only the minimum.
yeah, I agree.
Though he's not required to fast, he's not going to be able, because even if he drinks 1 drop, the fast is gone.
But he can still eat, right? I mean he's
He's not
even if
fasting.
he's not fasting.
He can eat to survive. Yes, if he can survive without eating, then he shouldn't.
Oh, okay.
He shouldn't. Even a traveler, when someone travels in Ramadan, he shouldn't fast, but he should not eat everything. He should eat the minimum and drinks the minimum. And that should be in a private, not public.
Okay.
Though he should not fast, he shouldn't fast, but on the other hand, he shouldn't eat 5 times a day. He should respect the month of Ramadan. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.